Greetings, citizens of the world. We are anonymous. On March 26, 2010, the United States and the world lost a brave warrior who fought for the rights of parents, children, and families everywhere. This warrior was the late Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer, who was murdered along with her husband. Their deaths were ruled a murder-suicide, as were so many others that dared stand against corruption in high places. Nancy had received death threats prior to the murder for her relentless investigation into the child welfare system of the United States. She exposed this broken system for what it is, and in 2007 authored an official government report called The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services, which she claims cost her her Senate seat. In this report she outlined several cases of abuse, corruption, and pedophilia in the Georgia foster care system that were allowed to continue due to negligence or involvement on the part of Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services. Not only was she uncovering horrible examples of negligence on behalf of the system, she also found direct links to high-level pedophilia rings in Georgia, which she continued investigating after losing her seat in the Senate. She discovered that this ring was trafficking children to other states and even other countries. Just as Nancy was thorough with her investigation into CPS cases of fellow Georgians, she was also thorough in her documentation of these high-level crimes. Nancy had video documentation of these crimes and a list of high-level officials involved, which she planned to expose on a personal name basis in a documentary she was working on with two other gentlemen. It was for this that she was murdered and all evidence confiscated. Operation Expose CPS has attempted to track down this video footage and was surprised to discover that the film's producer had gone so far as to release an entirely new documentary that managed to draw attention from the real missing documentary footage. They were hoping that the public had forgotten about that footage. We didn't. While the evidence in this documentary, which can be found in the video description along with other links, is damning by itself, the real documentary footage would be the scandal of the century if ever uncovered. The evidence she was murdered for uncovering was almost exactly the same model as the Franklin cover-up, with high-level officials trafficking children, mostly young boys, through a network of pedophiles in politics. The Discovery Channel made a documentary about this famous cover-up of political pedophiles, which was pulled at the last minute and never aired. The documentary was dubbed Conspiracy of Silence and is necessary to watch to understand the current situation in the United States and the circumstances leading up to Nancy's murder. We have not forgotten this brave whistleblower, and on March 26 we are calling all advocates of CPS reform, children's, families, parents, mothers, fathers and grandparents' rights activists, to join together with the forces of Anonymous, Occupy, libertarians, anarchists, 3% patriots, and activists of all kinds around the globe to protest this broken system. There will be international protests in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, the Netherlands, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Australia. Using data from various websites, we found that around 0.35 people per 100,000 are killed by police per year in the United States. Children in foster care, on the other hand, die at a rate of 68 per 100,000 per year. This means as a foster child you are 201 more times likely to die while in foster care than to be killed by law enforcement. It is well known in the United States that there is an epidemic of out-of-control police, killing citizens at will with little to no repercussions. In response to this, there have been massive protests, social media campaigns, and nationwide dialogue. While foster children have virtually no one protesting for them or even concerned with them save the birth parents or those who see the child as a paycheck. Did we forget that foster children's lives matter? Where are the protests? Where is the outrage? These are our children and the very future of humanity. If we do not stand for them, we stand for nothing. On March 26 we intend to show the governments of the world that we will not allow this kind of government child abuse to go on unopposed by the masses of society. We will rise in solidarity against this injustice. We would also like to take a moment to inform you of what the media is not talking about. You may remember in our initial video we called for a full investigation into Bill Clinton's ties to the Jeffrey Epstein underage sex trafficking scandal. Recent updates in the case have implicated not only former President Bill Clinton but presidential hopeful Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, and many others. The people involved in this case are very likely also involved in the assassination of the late Senator Schaefer. If Donald Trump had evidence of Clinton's ties to this ring, then he surely would have used it to attack the Clinton campaign, unless he was also involved, which appears to be the case. We have attached more information about this in the description and encourage you to look into this matter yourself and come to your own conclusions. We are demanding that the FBI open an investigation into the child welfare system of the United States with a press release asking for evidence and victim testimony. It is simple to see what county offices and states are accepting the most federal funds in the Kids for Cash scandal, and from the review each case, making sure to contact the parent to hear any evidence they may have. Many offices commit fraud by continuing to accept Title 19 Social Security funding for foster placement after they have been placed in kinship care. A system that offers financial incentives to offices based on the number of children removed from parents is a breeding ground for corruption, and yet the FBI and Department of Justice refuse to investigate this system as a whole. We are going to have to force their hand in this matter, go out into the streets and demand they do their job. Upon close inspection of the Title IV Social Security adoption incentive system, we discover that there are quotas on the number of children taken. To continue to receive funding, the office must remove a higher number of children than the previous year, to account for population growth. This is by definition human trafficking, which is the commercial exploitation of a person and violation of their movement. Child Protective Services meet both of these criteria, and that is not including the involvement in sex trafficking by some of its employees. This funding is the root of the problem, not the solution. Throwing more money at this problem will not make it go away. Only when the financial incentives for kinship placement and reunification are higher than the incentives for removal will we see caseworkers working as hard at helping families as they do destroying them. If this system is to work, there must be a balance of incentives and funding per capita, not per child. According to statistics, 11% of cases involve sexual abuse, while 80% are taken simply for neglect. 100% of those children are then placed into a foster care system where the rate of sexual abuse is estimated to be more than 28 times higher than the general population, with a 75% chance of being abused. Now 75% of the children that were taken for neglect now face sexual abuse that was completely unnecessary. It is clear that no system would be better than this one. With 80% of children in the system only removed for neglect and 20 for actual abuse, we would be better to simply let the 20% go on being abused than to subject 4 times that many children to sexual and other abuse within the foster care system. Perhaps if 80% of these children were left with their biological parents, then the system would not be overcrowded and good foster parents would be easier to find for those children that actually need them. Join us March 25th and 26th to put an end to this government-sponsored child abuse and trafficking once and for all. Several cities have chosen to do candlelight vigils the night of the 26th in honor of the late Georgia senator. Protest locations can be found below. We are anonymous. We are the resistance. We can forgive, but we do not forget. Child welfare agencies of the world, expect us.